Welcome to today's deep dive. I want you to picture a scenario. It's late. You've been working on your website for, I don't know, 3 hours.
Oh boy. I know where this is going.
Yeah, you probably do. So you're hosted on one.com, standard shared hosting, and you're just trying to fix one tiny layout bug on your homepage.
Right, and I can already feel my blood pressure rising just thinking about it.
Exactly. So you open a FileZilla, you find the file, you drag it to your desktop, you open it in Notepad.
Because of course you do.
Right. And you change, like, padding, 10px to padding, 20px. You save it. You drag it back to FileZilla. You wait for the progress bar.
Yeah.
You hit overwrite. You go to Chrome. You refresh the page.
And you realize you edited the completely wrong CSS file.
The absolute worst. It's the FileZilla shuffle. It is honestly the worst dance craze in history.
It really is. I mean, it's completely barbaric when you think about it. We have self-driving cars, but we're still dragging files back and forth across our screens like we're moving physical furniture.
Exactly. But here's why this really matters right now and why we're digging into this today. We have a listener, let's call them the learner, who wrote in with a very specific, a very cool ambition, actually.
Right.
They don't just want to fix CSS padding. They want to use an AI agent inside Visual Studio Code to build a fully functional, highly styled Spotify playlist page directly on their site.
Which is a fantastic project. I mean, you get the AI to write the code, style the player, maybe even hook into an API.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that FileZilla shuffle, that project goes from fun to just practically impossible very quickly.
So today we are canceling the shuffle. We're looking at a stack of documentation and tutorials that basically promise FileZilla with superpowers. We're talking about bypassing the external FTP client entirely.
Right, connecting VS Code directly to your server.
Exactly. But we need to be clear about the mission here. We aren't just talking about convenience. We are talking about enabling AI. Because, and I want to push on this for a second, why can't you just ask ChatGPT to write the code and then paste it in manually? Why go through this complex setup?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It all comes down to context. Think about how a human developer works. If I ask you to redesign a room in my house, you need to actually stand in the room.
Right. I need to see it. I can't just do it blind.
Exactly. You need to see the lighting, the dimensions, the existing furniture. Standard AI interfaces like ChatGPT, they are blind. They don't know your specific website exists.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They don't know you have a styles.css file buried 3 folders deep. They don't know your image directory is called assets instead of images.
So if I say, write me a Spotify playlist, it might give me code that looks amazing in a vacuum, but it breaks the second I paste it into my actual site structure.
Precisely. But modern AI coding agents like GitHub Copilot or the ones built into Cursor, they work differently. They scan your entire project folder, they index your code base so they actually understand the relationships between all those files.
But, and here's the catch, they can only do that if the files are locally on your computer.
Bingo. If your files are trapped on a one.com server and you're just accessing them via FileZilla, the AI on your laptop can't see them. It's locked out. It cannot index what it cannot touch.
So the FileZilla shuffle isn't just annoying for humans, it actually breaks the brain of the AI.
It does. To get the AI to build this playlist effectively, you have to bring the server files to the local machine. The AI needs to be able to see the kitchen it's trying to cook in, so to speak.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So let's talk solutions. The source materials point us toward 2 specific VS Code extensions, ftp-simple and SFTP.
Right. These are plugins. You just install them directly into your editor, and their whole job is to bridge that gap, to make the remote server show up in your sidebar exactly like a local folder would.
Describe this new workflow for me. Once I have this set up, what does it actually look like for the learner?
Oh, it's completely seamless. You open VS Code. On the left, you see your folder tree. You click playlist.html, and it opens instantly. Then you ask the AI, hey, analyze my CSS file and style this Spotify player to match my footer. The AI reads the files, writes the code, you hit Command-S or Control-S, and boom, it's live.
No dragging, no confirming override dialogues.
0. It feels like you are performing open heart surgery right on the live server.
Okay, that sounds amazing, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. You said it feels like open heart surgery. Is it actually? Because editing live files straight on a server sounds highly dangerous.
Yeah.
Technically, how is it doing that without the drag and drop?
You caught me. It is a bit of a magic trick, actually, and understanding the trick is crucial if you don't want to accidentally delete your entire website.
Please ruin the magic for me. What is actually happening under the hood?
Okay, so when you click that file in the sidebar, the extension isn't opening it from the server directly. It's silently downloading it to a temporary hidden folder on your computer's hard drive.
Oh, so I am still working locally.
Technically, yes. You are editing a cached local copy, but the extension is watching you like a hawk. The millisecond you hit save, it intercepts that command.
Interesting.
It saves the local file, but simultaneously it acts as a high-speed automated courier. It grabs that file, sprints across the internet, logs into your FTP, and swaps the file out.
So it literally is still doing the FileZilla shuffle.
It is. It's just doing it so fast and so invisibly in the background that you don't even notice.
And this circles perfectly back to the AI.
Yeah.
Because the file is technically downloaded to that temp folder on your drive.
The AI can read it, exactly.
Right.
The AI sees the temp folder, it sees the context. So it can write that perfect Spotify code because, for a brief moment, your website does technically live on your laptop.
That is incredibly clever. It creates this illusion of a live connection to satisfy the human developer, but uses a local cache to satisfy the AI indexing.
It's the best of both worlds.
All right, I am completely sold on the concept, but looking at the source material, the actual setup isn't exactly a one-click process. There's a config file, there's JSON involved.
There's always JSON.
Right, and this is where I think a lot of people, maybe even the learner, might get a bit intimidated. It feels like we're entering hacker mode. So let's break this down step by step. Phase 1 is intelligence gathering.
Correct. Before you even boot up VS Code, you need to log into your one.com control panel or whatever host you happen to use. You are looking for the FTP or web hosting section. You need 3 keys to the castle.
Which are?
Host, user, and password. The host is usually something like ftp.yourdomain.com. But the user and password, you have to be really careful here. A lot of people try to use their WordPress login or their billing email login.
I'm assuming that won't work.
No, it will fail every time. You need the specific FTP user credentials. If you don't know them, you usually just have to generate a new password right there in the dApp doc.
Okay, got it. Phase 2 is actually installing the extension.
Yeah.
We're focusing mainly on ftp-simple today based on the sources.
Yes, you just search for it in the VS Code marketplace. There are others, like SFTP by Natizi Skunk, which is just a fantastic name.
An excellent name, really.
But ftp-simple is the primary one mentioned in the guide. You install it, and then you run a command palette option, config FTP connection. And this is where that scary text file opens up.
Right, the ftp-simple.json file, which looks like pure code.
It is code, technically, but you just have to think of it as a form you need to fill out. You plug in your host, your user, and your password. But there is one setting in this file that is an absolute bear trap. The source material has huge warning signs all around it.
You're talking about remote path.
Yes.
Remote path.
Why is this one so dangerous? Because it tells the extension where on the server to start looking. If you leave it as just a forward slash, you are telling it to look at the absolute root of the entire server. You might see system folders, internal configuration files for the server itself, things you should absolutely never touch.
So I could theoretically accidentally delete my whole server config instead of uploading my Spotify playlist.
Yes, theoretically you could. Or, at best, you just get totally lost in a maze of weird folders. For a host like one.com, you almost always want this path to be www or public TML. You just need to check your specific file manager to be absolutely sure.
So setting that remote path acts like guardrails. It keeps you in the safe zone of just your website files.
Exactly. It ensures you land directly in the folder you actually care about.
Now let's talk about the specific settings that make this whole workflow function for the AI. Because if we just connect via FTP, we're basically still doing manual uploads, right?
Right. There is what I call the gold setting. In the JSON, it's called upload on save.
And that defaults to false, right?
Usually, yeah. If upload on save is false, you hit save, and the file saves locally on your machine and just sits there. It never goes to the live server until you manually right-click and tell it to upload.
Which defeats the whole purpose. That's just FileZilla with extra steps.
Precisely. You absolutely must change this to true. That is the switch that turns on our automated courier. You save, it ships. That is what gives you that magical live editing feeling.
And there's a partner setting mentioned alongside it. Download open.
Yes, and this is your safety net. Imagine you edited a CSS file on your laptop yesterday. Today, you open it again to make more changes. But in the meantime, maybe an automated script on your server updated something in that file, or a plugin changed it. If you don't have download open set to true, you might be looking at a stale, outdated version of the file.
And if I save that old version,
you immediately overwrite the server's newer changes with your old data. Setting download open true forces the extension to basically say, hey, before I show you this file, let me run and grab the absolute freshest version from the server first.
So it actively keeps you in sync. Okay, so we have the config dialed in, upload on save is true. We are building our Spotify playlist. The AI agent is happy, but I feel like we might be glossing over the inevitable glitches here.
There are always glitches in web development.
Right. The source material brings up a very specific and honestly very annoying technical issue regarding VS Code versions. When I read this part, I actually laughed because it sounds so ridiculous.
Yes. The undefined error.
Cannot read properties of undefined.
It truly is the most hateful sentence in the entire JavaScript language.
Apparently, a recent update to VS Code just completely broke the ftp-simple extension.
It happens. VS Code updates constantly, and sometimes these independent extension developers just can't keep up with the changes. Users started reporting that they couldn't connect to their servers at all. They just get that error message popping up over and over.
And the solution suggested in the material isn't just wait for a patch. It's literally downgrade your entire VS Code editor.
Yeah. The source suggests rolling back your VS Code installation to version 1.92.2.
That feels so extreme. That's like selling your brand new car and buying last year's model just because the radio station you like doesn't tune in right.
It is extreme, and honestly, as an expert looking at this workflow, I would heavily hesitate to recommend that to a beginner. It creates security vulnerabilities, you miss out on all the new features.
So what is the actual alternative if you hit that bug?
This is exactly where that second extension comes in. If ftp-simple is acting up, just go try the SFTP extension instead. It does the exact same thing. It uses a very similar JSON config file, but it might not have that specific version bug. The lesson is, don't be married to the specific tool, be married to the workflow.
That is really good advice. Pivot if the tool breaks. Now, there's another limitation we really need to cover. We're using FTP here, File Transfer Protocol. We are not using SH.
That is a critical distinction to make.
For the non-technical listener out there, why does that distinction matter?
Think of FTP as having really long arms. You can reach into the remote server room and move boxes around. You can put a file in, you can take a file out, but you cannot actually step inside the room.
Meaning, I can't run system commands.
Correct. You cannot open up a terminal window in VS Code and type commands that execute on the one.com server itself.
So if my AI agent gets really ambitious...
Yeah, if the AI says, okay, I wrote this amazing Spotify playlist in React, now just run npm build to compile it, or run composer install to load this PHP audio library, you are completely stuck.
You just hit a brick wall.
You can't do it. Our automated courier can only carry files back and forth. He cannot execute orders on the other side. So for this specific workflow, you generally need to stick to languages that don't require server-side compiling. Just your standard HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and basic PHP.
So building simple static sites or making WordPress template tweaks is totally fine. Full-blown modern web application development might be a real struggle.
Exactly. If you need to run terminal commands, you need SSH access, which is a totally different beast, and honestly, often costs extra on these shared hosting plans.
Got it.
Well,
Now let's pivot to what the sources call the sync risk. We touched on it a bit with the download open setting, but what happens if I'm working with a team?
the classic cowboy coding scenario.
Right. Say I'm working on this new Spotify playlist, and you are working on the website's About page. We are both using this live FTP extension.
It is highly dangerous. Remember, we are working on cached local copies. If I download style.css at 9:00 a.m. and you download that same file at 9:05 a.m. and then I save my changes at 9:10 a.m.
You just updated the live server.
Right, but my local version of the file didn't have any of the changes you were making. So when you hit save at 9:01 a.m., you overwrite all my work. It basically becomes a game of last save wins.
And because there's no conflict resolution built into this like you'd have in Git,
My work is just gone. Poof, overwritten.
so if you're doing this with multiple people, you need to be communicating constantly.
Or honestly, just be the only person working on the live site. This specific FTP workflow is really designed for the solo freelancer or the hobbyist. If you have a team of developers, you really should be using Git and a proper deployment pipeline, not direct FTP.
Fair enough. Let's shift gears to the advanced class. And think about the freelance web designers listening to this. The people who manage 5, 10, maybe 20 different client sites,
Power users.
do they need a different VS Code workspace or window for every single client? Because that sounds like a total nightmare to manage.
Thankfully, no. This is where that scary JSON file actually turns into a superpower. It supports arrays.
Meaning lists.
Exactly. In that one single ftp-simple.json file, you can copy and paste that configuration block over and over. You have one block for the pizza restaurant client, one block for the yoga studio, one block for your personal portfolio.
So I can seriously have 20 sites listed in one file.
As many as you want. And when you want to switch between them, you just open the VS Code command palette, select Remote Directory Open, and it gives you a nice drop-down list of all your configured sites.
Oh, that is slick.
You just click Yoga Studio, and your sidebar instantly refreshes with all the files for that specific site.
But wait a minute. We talked earlier about those temporary files. If I have 20 different websites, and they are all actively dumping files into some hidden system folder on my computer, isn't that going to be a massive mess?
It is digital hoarding at its worst. And good luck ever trying to find those files if you suddenly need to recover a local backup.
So what is the fix for that?
The source material offers a really good pro tip here. There is an additional setting you can add called Remote Workspace.
What does that do?
It lets you explicitly map a remote site to a specific visible folder on your actual hard drive. So you can tell the configuration. Hey, when I connect to the Yoga Studio site, please put all the local cached files right into my Documents Client's Yoga Studio folder.
Oh, that is so much better.
It completely transforms the workflow. Now, you aren't just blindly caching hidden files. You are basically mirroring the server. You automatically build a clean local backup that updates itself every single time you open and save a file.
And bringing this all back to our main mission, how does that remote workspace setting help the AI agent?
It's huge for the AI. If your files are organized in clean, explicitly named folders right in your documents directory, you can point your AI agent at that parent client's folder and say, hey, search across all my different projects for that specific CSS snippet I used last year.
Or something like, analyze the Yoga Studio folder and tell me if I missed any security updates.
Exactly. The AI works best when the file structure is logical and accessible. The remote workspace command gives you that logic instead of a hidden temp folder.
It also seems like there's some visual tools to help manage all this. The sources mention extensions called Web Deployer or FTP and SSH Manager.
Yeah, for people who just absolutely hate looking at JSON, which, let's be honest, is most people.
Yeah.
These are alternative extensions that give you a really nice visual tree right in the sidebar. You see little server icons for each client, and you just click one to connect.
So it essentially feels like a web browser bookmark bar, but for your servers.
Exactly. It makes managing 10 different websites feel as easy as managing 10 local folders. It completely removes the cognitive load of trying to remember, okay, what was the FTP password for the pizza place again?
Okay, let's zoom out for a second. We started this deep dive with the dreaded FileZilla shuffle, a manual, tedious, friction-heavy process.
A process that was actively blocking us from using modern AI tools.
Right, and we've arrived at this workflow where VS Code basically acts as a bridge. It tricks the AI into thinking the files are purely local, and it trips the live server into thinking we're manually uploading them.
It truly is the ultimate productivity hack for anyone on shared hosting. You don't need to migrate to expensive, complex cloud servers like AWS or DigitalOcean just to get a modern developer workflow.
Yeah.
You can keep your cheap $5 hosting, but work seamlessly like a Silicon Valley engineer.
And that is really the core takeaway here, isn't it? It's not actually about the server technology itself. It's about removing the friction.
Completely. When you remove the friction of transporting the code back and forth, you stop thinking about the transport entirely. You stop worrying about which file is currently on your desktop and which one is on the server.
You just focus on the product. You focus on building that awesome Spotify playlist.
You focus purely on the code, and that is exactly where the flow state comes from.
So I want to leave everyone listening with a final thought to chew on. We spent all this time today talking about automating the courier, the physical delivery of the code. If we can make that transport layer completely invisible just by hitting save, what is next?
That is the big question looking forward.
If hitting save triggers an automatic upload, why stop there? Why can't hitting save trigger an AI security agent that scans the code for vulnerabilities before it even lands on the server?
An invisible gatekeeper. I love that idea.
Exactly. Or what about an AI that automatically compresses all your images as they travel up the pipe to one.com?
We are definitely getting there. We are moving rapidly toward a world where the save button isn't just a command to write to a disk, it's a command to launch an entire intelligent process. And honestly, setting up this simple FTP extension is just the first baby step into that new world.
It turns your save button into a launch button. I really love that framing.
It's incredibly powerful stuff once you get it running.
All right, it is homework time. If you are listening to this right now and you have a shared hosting account and you happen to have FileZilla open on your monitor, close it.
Well, maybe keep it installed just for emergencies, but definitely close it for now.
Go install ftp-simple or SFTP in VS Code. Hunt down those FTP credentials in your dashboard. Watch out for the remote path trap. And for the love of everything holy, set upload on save to true.
It really is the only way to fly.
And hey, if you actually build a cool Spotify playlist using this exact AI workflow, send us a screenshot. We really want to see this AI integration in action.
Absolutely. Happy coding, everyone.
Thanks for diving in with us today. We'll see you next time.